Hello, Michael Snyder here. Thank you for tuning in. We are closer to World War III than we've ever been before. And the information I'm going to share with you today is so important. Please share this with as many people as you can, because most Americans, they don't realize what just happened. And what we witnessed on Sunday, it was a historic of nature. Historians will look back and say that was a turning point. That was, we went over the threshold. You know, we went into an entirely new time, because what just happened was, in the mainstream media in the Western world, it's being played down and say, yeah, the Biden administration did this, and England and France did this. Thankfully, the Germans were not on board. But this was a coordinated thing between the Biden administration, between the United Kingdom, other allies, where they said, hey, before Trump gets in, we're going to say, hey, okay, Ukraine, you can use long-range missiles provided by us to strike targets deep inside of Russia. And see, I think they're trying to make it so, well, first of all, you know, Trump is still a couple months away from being president. But if Trump then gets in and reverses it, he's going to, oh, he's weak on Russia. And Trump is afraid to look weak on Russia. Like, Trump needs to come out right now and immediately denounce this and say, hey, I denounce this. Once I'm president, we're immediately going to reverse this. We're not going to start World War III. We're against this. We're not going to do it. But Trump, the people around him are probably saying, hey, you're going to look weak on Russia. They're going to say you're a friend of Putin. And so they've kind of put Trump into this corner where Trump doesn't really want to do anything, because then, oh, he's colluding with Putin and all that thing. You know, Trump wants to look strong against Russia. You know, so far Trump hasn't said anything, but that's what he needs to do. He needs to come out, because this literally has us, we're closer to World War III than we've ever been before. And that's how the Russians see it. I want to show you guys some things on the screen. You can see CBS News and how the Russians are responding, because Biden and the European allies made their moves yesterday, and now the Russians have responded. One Russian official is saying, and let me scroll up here. One Russian official is saying that Biden is deciding, quote, to end his presidential term and go down in history as Bloody Joe. That doesn't sound good. All right, another official whose name I don't think I can pronounce, but anyway, he told the press that this represented, quote, a very big step toward the beginning of the Third World War, World War III. This is how the Russians are seeing it. All right, let me scroll down to another quote. From the official newspaper of the Russian state warned, quote, the madmen who are drawing NATO into direct conflict with our country may soon be in great pain. They're saying, hey, direct war is here. We're going to do something about this. Vladimir Putin, he hasn't made an official statement yet since that Biden made his decision, but he previously said in September, he said, hey, if Biden makes this move, quote, it would mean that NATO countries, the United States, and European countries are parties to the war in Ukraine. This is how the Russians see it. Now let me show you the Washington Post. This quote blew me away. I have it highlighted there at the top. The Washington Post, quote, a former Kremlin official told the Washington Post that Moscow now believes NATO has gone to war with Russia and that, quote, they will proceed accordingly. So they will proceed on the basis of that. They believe that they're now at war with NATO. They're now at war with the United States. Okay, so this is where they are, the Russians. And see, how would we feel if Russia or China or some foreign power was, you know, launching long-range missiles at Atlanta or Washington, D.C. or Chicago or San Francisco? The American people would be screaming for it to stop, do whatever's necessary, nuke them. That's what Americans would be saying. Well, the Russians, you know, are facing the similar thing. And the Russians are looking at this and they're saying, hey, because the missile systems are provided by the U.S. or NATO countries. The missiles for the weapon systems are provided by the U.S. or NATO countries. And then the targeting, the intelligence, the satellite information, the identifying of the Russian targets and where to hit them, all that's provided by the U.S. or NATO countries. The only role that Ukraine has to play is that they're pressing the button. And in some cases, there's doubt that they're even doing that. But let's assume that they're actually pressing the button. That's still a very small role to play in the overall picture. And so it's kind of like if you took a gun that you owned, you loaded it, you handed it to someone, and you told them, oh, shoot this person right here, and shoot them now, and then they were shot. Well, you're a party to the shooting, just like the person that actually pulled the trigger. This is how the Russians see it. And so the Russians believe, hey, they're now at war with NATO. And the Russians are not going to put up with their cities being bombarded by long-range missiles. When it first happens, maybe they'll try to respond with conventional weapons. But if it keeps happening, if this becomes a problem, then the Russians are going to say, look, we've got to stop this. And the Russians will be very, very tempted to use tactical nuclear weapons to bring this to a stop. And if that happens, the Biden administration has already hinted very strongly that they're going to use tactical nuclear weapons against Russian forces in Ukraine in return. And once both sides start using tactical nuclear weapons, and that sounds small, tactical nuclear weapons sounds small, but basically they're about as large as the nuclear weapon that destroyed Hiroshima at the end of World War II. That's kind of the size of weapon that we're talking about. And once those kind of weapons start being used, then we get to the point of, well, it's only a matter of time for the really big ones start being used. And once the Russians determine that full-blown nuclear war between the United States and Russia is inevitable, well, the Russians, they know there's no winners in a nuclear war, but they know that whoever strikes first has the best chance of surviving a nuclear war. And so the Russians would strike first. They would not hesitate. They would strike first. If they think nuclear war is inevitable, they know their best chance to survive will be to strike first, and they would. So we don't want to go down that road. We don't want nuclear war. Thankfully, there are some voices that are speaking out. U.S. Representative Thomas Massie, you see Twitter on the screen. Let me read you what he just tweeted after Biden made this decision. Quote, by authorizing long-range missiles to strike inside Russia, Biden is committing an unconstitutional act of war that endangers the lives of all U.S. citizens. This is an impeachable offense, I agree, but the reality is he's an emasculated puppet of a deep state, and we all understand that the deep state, the globalists in Europe and everything, they want Biden to do this, and they were desperate to get this done before Trump could come in, so they coordinated, they did it, but it's true, Massie's right. This is an act of war. It requires congressional approval, and Biden does not have that. Therefore, Biden should be impeached. Of course, there's not enough time to do that now at this point, but he should be impeached. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Republicans in Congress that agree with this move, which is very troubling. Donald Trump Jr., he tweeted out something. You see the article that was originally New York Post on the screen. And they covered his tweet, but I have it highlighted. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted, quote, the military-industrial complex seems to want to make sure they get World War III going before my father has a chance to create peace and save lives. And so Donald Trump Jr. is saying, hey, he's using the term World War III, just like the Russians are talking about World War III. He understands. Guys, we're at World War III. This is it. And Donald Trump Jr. is freaking out. He's like, my father's almost there. My father is almost in office. And they're doing this insane thing. And you know what? This was Donald Trump's decision to make. Yeah, Joe Biden. And people tell me, oh, Michael, Joe Biden's still president. He can do whatever he wants. Yes. But his party just lost the election. The American people said, we don't want that. We want Trump. And Trump's about to come in. So what we're going to be doing in the future, that's not Joe Biden's decision to make. It wasn't proper for him to do this. Yeah, he has authority to do this right now, but he should not have done that. It was not proper. It was not right. It was Donald Trump's decision to make. And that's why Donald Trump needs to come out and publicly address this now, immediately. He's got to do it. Otherwise, he looks complicit. And otherwise, later on, it's going to be harder for him to reverse course. He needs to come out now and talk about this. Okay, I've got one more thing to show you. This is from the Mirror. It's talking about, you can see that the paragraph I have highlighted there on the screen. Sweden has issued 5 million pamphlets warning its citizens to stockpile food and water. Just hours after Vladimir Zelensky's chilling video addressed to Vladimir Putin warned U.S. missile strikes, quote, will speak for themselves. That's what Zelensky said. You know, this kind of arrogant saying, yeah, the missiles will speak for themselves. Yeah, that we're in World War III. And Zelensky knows once he sends those missiles into Russia, Russia's going to strike back really hard, potentially even with tactical nuclear weapons. That'll draw NATO into the war, which is exactly what Zelensky wants. It's what I've been warning about for so long. And of course, me and Steve Quayle and so many others have for so long been warning nuclear war with Russia. We're on that road. We're going. We're heading that direction. It's like a train wreck, slow motion train wreck playing out right in front of our eyes. And we can see it happening. We're sounding the alarm. It's nuts. It's insane. We don't want this. And we can see it happening, but we can't stop it. We can't stop it. It just we keep going down that road. And now this is a giant step toward a nuclear apocalypse. And we can't do this. This will mean the end of our country. It'll mean the end of our society. But we really, guys, we really are living in the end times. We really are living in a time of wars and rumors of wars. You know, if people can't see that now, I don't know what it's going to take. But we're here. Get prepared. Like Sweden's warning, stockpile food and water, everything you need for what's coming. Because this is it. This is serious. I don't even know if I have the words to describe how serious this is. So guys, I'm trying to sound the alarm. Please like, comment, subscribe on these videos and to make sure they get out to more people. We want to get it out to more people. If you're interested in you know, what can I do to prepare, I've got some links in the description below, which will be helpful. But guys, sound the alarm, get this message out, because we need the American people to scream bloody murder about this, because we're literally on the brink of nuclear war. We've never been closer to nuclear war. So please share this video with as many people as you can, and I'll talk to you guys again next time.